This is a review of Orville, episode 11, New Dimensions. I'm going to tell a story about my childhood. Indulge me a minute here. When I was in 4th grade, I think, or around there, 4th or 5th grade, in summer school, I took a writing class, and it was a great writing class. Had a lot of really good assignments. One of the assignments was to describe an alien, and the purpose of the assignment, well, I didn't realize this, being a 4th grader, but the purpose was to have us practice really descriptive language so that we would become better writers, and so that we wouldn't suffer from white room syndrome or from saying, here's a guy and he has brown hair and brown eyes. You know, it was really trying to push us to get very, very descriptive with our writing, which was a great assignment. But because the assignment was described as design an alien, I interpreted it as that we were supposed to stretch our science fiction-y imaginations as far as we could and describe the most unique and interesting and alien aliens that we could come up with. What I didn't realize is that the teacher planned to read our descriptions out loud, or have us read our descriptions out loud, and then he was going to try to draw the alien that we had described onto the board, onto the whiteboard. So for some reason, most people, when they were describing their aliens, they were saying things like it had 3 tentacles, and so he'd try to draw 3 tentacles, or it had 5 legs, and he'd try to draw 5 legs. And some of the things were very, very funny, and then after he would get through trying to draw the alien as described by the paragraph, then he would ask the person, well, is this what you had in mind? Because this is what I got from your description, which was actually a great assignment, but it had 2 problems. One is that one student described an alien who looked completely human, because in his idea, he had an alien who is a kind of invasion of the body snatchers type alien who would pass as a human. And the teacher was kind of critical of this person, and I thought unfairly, because from a scientific point of view, or a science fiction point of view, I should specify, that was a perfectly acceptable concept. Why wouldn't you have an alien who could blend in? But it didn't suit the teacher's purpose. But I didn't think that was really fair to the student. He didn't know the teacher's purpose. Anyway, then it came to my turn. Well, I had recently read Flatland, which is a story about different dimensions and speculating about multiple higher dimensions than the 3rd dimension by explaining what it would seem to 2-dimensional creatures to meet a 3rd-dimensional creature. So creatures that are completely flat, hence Flatland, meet a sphere. Now, all they can see of the sphere is that it's a circle. They can't see that it's a sphere. Anyway, it's a really awesome story. It was mind-blowing to me when I was in 4th grade. I thought it was so cool. I immediately grasped the analogy to higher dimensions and how they would appear to us. And so I was so eager to describe a 4th-dimensional alien. And 4th dimension of space. You can talk about 4th dimension or any higher dimension than the dimension you're in being the dimension of time. And there's a complicated reason for that, which I'm not going to get into right now. But this is just, the 4th dimension is not time in this sense. It's a 4th dimension of space. It's simply one higher than 3-dimensional space. But to us, it would appear like a 3-dimensional creature because we can't perceive the 4th dimension. So I started describing what this would look like, and that it would appear to us like disparate blobs that were separated from each other, floating around the character's head, like one piece over to the left and another piece over to the right, one slightly above, one that seemed to be coming out of the ground, etc. And the teacher started to draw this and actually was following my instructions fairly well. I was pretty pleased with it. And then he stopped and stared at me and said, this isn't one creature. And I said, no, it is. It's a 4th-dimensional creature. And he couldn't get it. Apparently, the teacher had not read Flatland. He could not grasp 4th-dimensional aliens. So he gave up. And I was very disappointed because I thought, but you were doing a good job drawing it on the board. But, oh well. So I'm afraid that I didn't get a passing grade for that assignment, which I thought was quite unfair. So I bring that up because in this episode, they specifically reference Flatland explicitly, which was cool, but even if they hadn't, they definitely inference to it because they visit an anomaly in space which turns out to lead into a area of a 2-dimensional universe that is an anomaly that's inside of our universe. And using some technobabble and whatnot, they're actually able to travel through it. Now, they have to maintain their 3-dimensionality or else it will be deadly to them, which is part of the plot, but you get to see this really well done graphic imagination of the 3-dimensional ship traveling through a 2-dimensional universe, a 2-dimensional civilization. Writing-wise, this was also a very good episode because they paralleled this story of new dimensions, making a play on the actual explicit mathematical meaning of dimensions with the common uses of dimensions, like a new experience or a new level of society in your life, like a new experience or a new career or a new facet of your personality, because we find out that as the engineer who's been in charge is leaving, and so they need to promote somebody to take his place. And they find out that one of the characters has all of these qualifications for the position that he has completely underplayed. And so they realize, well, you know what, you're not really living up to your potential. Why don't you consider taking on this position? And as a sort of trial period, they say, why don't you, take the anomaly as your project and figure out how to deal with it. And so the parallel between the science problem of the two-dimensional space and then the human problem of grappling with new dimensions in your life is, I think, just classic science fiction. It's a classic way to handle a science fiction episode. It's just really well done in this episode. And then they finally had a tertiary plot line as well, which was another dimension of the relationship between the captain and the first officer when he finally finds out that she is the one who recommended for him for this position. And he responds to that with wounded pride, because now he feels like maybe, her speaking up for him, it was a little despotic or something, and he feels, well, did I really earn it or not? So they have all three of these plot lines going in parallel together and going at the same time with each other, and the writing of that was very well handled. Made this a very fun and well-written episode.